This is Chris Brody. Always like, subscribe to Team W Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris Brody. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. It'll all be down there in the description box and TikTok as well. And I'm here to do my AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest July 20th, 2022 reviews. So here we go, discussing about Fyter Fest for tonight. It's the second week of it. There's many matches tonight, but we get to the first match like immediately. It was Brody King versus Darby Allin, 1-on-1. Now, Sting did walk out with Darby Allin, but Sting went backstage, let Darby Allin fight. His battle was all by himself, and it was a pretty good match between Darby and Brody King. Very great match. A lot of things that was happening during that match, like Brody King was just tossing Darby Allin around. And then we get to the ending where Brody locks on the sleeper hold onto Darby, pretty much like hanging him in a way off the ring apron, and drops him onto the floor, just like the way how he eliminated him in the Battle Royale like a month ago on Rampage, they said. So yeah, same way. And Darby was getting counted out, but he made it back in by the count of 9, almost getting counted out. And as soon as he gets back in, Brody King hits his finishing move. I forget what he calls it, but he lifts him up like a razor's edge position and then drops him with the power driver and then pins Darby for the 3 count. So yeah, Brody King defeated Darby Allin tonight on Dynamite. That's what happened. It was a pretty good match between those two guys. If you have yet, go check it out. For that match, I'll give it 3 stars. That's why I'll give it. Pretty good match between Brody King and Darby Allin. But then after the match ended, Brody King locks on the sleeper hold onto Darby Allin again, attacking him and all that. And then Sting comes out, making the save for Darby, beating the hell out of Brody King, both almost fighting and all that. And then Sting drops Brody King with Scorpion Death Drop. But as soon as he drops him, the lights went out, comes back on. Malachi Black and Sting is face to face. And then Brody King comes up, locking on a sleeper hold from behind on the Sting. And then while he got the sleeper hold locked on, Malachi Black spits the black mist into his face. And then, Sting was getting beat down by the House of Black. And while that was happening, we see Miro walking out because his theme song plays. And then he walks out. He's on the stage, on the ramp, and then him and Malachi Black stares at each other pretty much from the distance. So yeah, that's what happened there. So yeah, we're going to see what happens between Miro and Malachi Black. But like I said, it was a pretty good match between Brody and Darby. Very great match. If you have yet, go check out that match. Like I said, later on tonight we will see Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston, a barbed wire anywhere match. Everywhere match or something like that, tonight in the main event, I think it is. And not only that, the Jericho Appreciation Society will be locking a shark cage as well. And yeah, still many more matches to come later on tonight. So yeah, we'll see you guys later until the next thing that happens on AEW Dynamite. See you guys later until then. So the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, now we'll get to, before I talk about the match, we gotta talk about the interview backstage. So Tony Schiavone was interviewing Ricky Stark's opponent. I think his name was Colt Kobe or something like that. I forgot his name, but yeah. He was getting interviewed, and then Ricky Starks interrupts him with Will Hobbs. He was talking about how he'll destroy him and retain the FTW Championship and all that tonight. So yeah, that's what Ricky Starks said. But then we get to the match. It was the interim AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Jon Moxley, teaming up with the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, Wheeler Yuta. William Regal came out to pretty much with Wheeler, but walked backstage and stuff. And then Orange Cassidy was on commentary, and they took on the team of Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta tonight, best friends. So yeah, that was a match that was happening. It was a pretty good tag team match. Go check it out if you have yet. At one point, it was a really cool spot where Chuck Taylor spikes Wheeler with a power driver, rolls him through, and then Trent was like literally behind him and spikes Wheeler with the power driver as well. Thought it was almost over there, but the pin got broken up. Wheeler kicked out. And then at one point we see Trent Beretta his finish move onto Wheeler. I think it was Strong Zero. He pins him 1, 2. Jon Moxley breaks up the pin at 2, and then him and Chuck Taylor lays each other out with the double clothesline. That's what happened there. And then Wheeler was getting back up, and Chuck Taylor was the one that was tagged in because he was still doing a lot of stuff. Like, at one point, John Moxley had a figure four leg lock locked on to Chuck Taylor onto Trent Beretta outside the ring. But then inside the ring, where you see Wheeler Yuta pinning Chuck Taylor with the seatbelt pin combination onto Chuck Taylor, and then got the 3 count. So yeah, Wheeler Yuta and John Moxley defeated Best Friends tonight on Dynamite. That's what happened. It was a pretty good match. If you have go check it out for that match. I'll give it 3.5 stars as well. It was a pretty damn good, entertaining match. But up next, we're going to be seeing Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee get interviewed up next on Dynamite because they are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. So yeah, that will be happening up next. So yeah, I'll see you guys later until the next thing that happens on Dynamite. So the next thing that happened on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest, we see the new AEW World Tag Team Champions Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, Swerve in My Glory, come out to the ring, and they was getting interviewed by Tony Schiavone. They was having their celebration and stuff for winning the tag team titles, and they was, talking about how it feels great to become tag team champions and all that stuff. Pretty much your babyface promos and stuff like that. But it was pretty good from Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. But then all of a sudden they get interrupted by Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. They come up talking crap to Swerve's rap music and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what he was talking about. But then he spots Kevin Gates in the crowd. And they was trying to get Kevin Gates to sign a petition about like Swerve Strickland or whatever. So yeah, that's what he was trying to do. But then Kevin Gates goes through the barricade, and you already know it's already bad. But at least Kevin Gates don't got his cousin with him because family bonding is very tough. So yeah, Smart Mark better be lucky he didn't have his cousin with him. So yeah, that's what happened there. And then Kevin Gates laid Tony Nese out with the right hand, and then we see Swerve come up behind Smart Mark Sterling and then slammed a cake in his face, just pretty much embarrassing him. So yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, that was a segment right there. But up next, we're going to be seeing Christian Cage teaming up with Luchasaurus to take on the Varsity Blondes up next in a tag team match. So yeah, that match will be happening up next. So yeah, see you guys later until the next thing that happens on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest. See you guys later until then. So the next thing that happened on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest, we get a tag team match. It was Christian Cage teaming up with Luchasaurus to take on the team of Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, the Varsity Blondes, in a tag team match. And in this tag team match, we see Luchasaurus. That was the one that was like the legal man most of the time, and Griff was trying to get some offense in onto Luchasaurus, but of course it didn't work out because he gets hit with a choke slam. And then Brian Pillman got hit with a choke slam, and then Griff got choke slammed on top onto Brian Pillman, letting both of them out. And then Christian got tagged in. He just goes straight for the pin, got the 3 count. So yeah, he didn't do nothing there. And yeah, they won the match. So yeah, Christian Cage and Luchasaurus defeated the Varsity Blondes tonight on Dynamite. That's what happened. But then after the match ended, Jungle Boy makes his return. He walks out. He got the steel chair in his hands. Luchasaurus gets out of the ring, standing right there at ringside, waiting for Jungle Boy to get to him. And they get face to face. And then Luchasaurus steps aside, and then Jungle Boy runs in there with the steel chair, chasing Christian Cage. Chased him out the ring through the crowd, and they both, Jungle Boy kept on chasing Christian. So yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, it was a okay match and stuff, but it was great to see Jungle Boy make his return back. So yeah. And it looks like the Luchasaurus played Christian. So yeah, that's what happened there for that match and stuff. I'll just give it 1 star. That's what I'll give it. But up next, we're going to be seeing the FTW champion, Ricky Starks, in action. Up next, he'll be taking on Colt Carter up next on Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later until the next thing that happens on AEW Dynamite. So the next thing that happened on Dynamite, so before I talk about the FTW Championship, we gotta talk about the Gun Club getting interviewed backstage. It was something about why they beat down the Acclaim and stuff. They was getting tired of the Acclaim, like Max Caster and them, putting the Gun Club in their raps and stuff and making fun of them and all that stuff. Saying that's what he was talking about. And then they said they want to challenge Max Caster into a rap battle this Friday on Rampage. So yeah, that's what he said there. But then we get to the match. It was the FTW champion, Absolute Ricky Starks, versus Colt Carter in a one-on-one match for the FTW championship. Will Hobbs was at ringside, and we see Jim Rossi actually comes on commentary for this match. And it was an okay match. It was pretty good. Not too bad from Colt Carter and stuff. It was his AEW debut for the FTW championship. But we get to the ending. Colt was doing pretty good in this match. And then at the ending, he started laying out Ricky Starks. Climbs up the top turnbuckle, jumps off with the 450, misses. And then he gets hit with a spear by Ricky Starks, and then Starks pinned him for the 3 count. So yeah, Absolute Ricky Starks defeated Colt Carter tonight in a one-on-one match and has retained the FTW championship. That's what happened. It was a pretty good match between the two. I'll give that match 2 stars. That's what I'll give it. But then after the match ended, Ricky Starks grabbed the mic and he says, "I'm feeling pretty lucky. I want another challenge, for somebody to challenge me for my FTW championship." And then who was the challenge? Who was the challenger? It was Danhausen. So yeah, Danhausen comes out and he says he wants to challenge Ricky Starks for the FTW championship. And then Ricky Starks said, "I didn't say right now." And then he says, "How about this? Next week, I defend my title against you." So yeah, that'll be next week on Dynamite. But yep, that's what happened there. And then we get to an interview backstage. We see Chris Statlander, Athena, and Willow Nightingale or something like that. They was getting interviewed because they'll be taking on the baddies up next on Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Until then. So the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest, we see the ROH, IWGP, and the AAA Tag Team Champions, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, FTR. They come out and they was getting interviewed inside the ring, and they was sending a message to the Briscoes because they'll be taking on the Briscoes this weekend in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the ROH World Tag Team Championships at Death Before Dishonor. So yeah, and FTR just threw on like a great promo, sending that message out loud and clear to the Briscoes. So yeah, what was happening was, Cash Wheeler was pretty much thanking the crowd because they said they ain't gonna never get tired of the crowd chanting for him and stuff. It was very awesome. And then Dax cutting a very good promo talking about this 5-year-old girl, and he was talking about how she had a hole in her heart, and the doctor said either you can fight and try to get that hole closed, or you got to go through open heart surgery. And then he says, fast forward 3 years later, and she went to the doctor, and the doctor said the hole is closed in her heart, and she only got to have open heart surgery. And then he says, that was my daughter, and that he will be fighting as hard as his daughter did, and he'll be taking on the Briscoes. So yeah, it was a great promo from Dax Harwood. I can't say it any better. So yeah, you gotta go check it out. Pretty damn good promo from Dax. But yeah, great stuff right there. But yeah, that's what happened there. Great segment. And then we get to Jay Lethal talking, pretty much cutting a promo about Samoa Joe, talking about how he will go and defeat Samoa Joe at Death Before Dishonor and become the new ROH TV champion. And then Christopher Daniels interrupts him and he says, "I'm tired of you talking so much crap. How about you face me this Friday at Rampage?" And then Jay Lethal accepts the challenge. So yeah, they'll be taking on each other at Rampage. But yep, that's what happened there. And up next, we're going to be seeing the 6 women's tag team match. It'll be the baddies versus Athena and Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. Up next on Dynamite, well, Athena and Willow Nightingale. Those are the 2 that will be taking on Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan up next in a tag team match. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Until then. So the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest, we get to a tag team match. It was the TBS Women's Champion Jade Cargill teaming up with Kiera Hogan to take on Athena and Willow Nightingale in a tag team match. Now, Stokely Hathaway was at ringside for this match, and then we get to the ending of this match. It was like an okay match, nothing really, it's whatever. At the ending, we see Athena pretty much push Stokely Hathaway, and then she gets hit with the super kick by Jay Cargill, hitting the steel steps and stuff. And then they get into the ring. Jay Cargill was fighting Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale almost picked up the win by, rolling her up in the inside cradle, but she barely kicked out too. And then Jay Cargill hits her finish move, Jaded, onto Willow Nightingale, and then pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan defeated Athena and Willow Nightingale tonight in a tag team match. That's what happened. Like I said, it was an okay match. Nothing really too special. I'll give that match 1 star. That's what I'll give it. But yeah, up next it'll be the main event. It'll be Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho in that Barbed Wire Anywhere match up next on Dynamite. So yeah, that match will be happening up next, and it'll be the main event. So yeah, and I forgot to mention Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm got interviewed backstage, and then Britt Baker came up and interrupts them, talking about they were seeing this Friday. So yeah, that's what happened there. So yeah, but the main event will be happening up next. So I'll see you guys later until the next thing that happens on Dynamite. So the next thing that happened on Dynamite, it was a main event. It was Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston 1-on-1 in a Barbed Wire Anywhere match, or Barbed Wire Everywhere match, one of those two words. But yeah, it was a pretty good match. Ruby Soho was at ringside for Eddie Kingston, and we see the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society locked up in the short cage. So yeah, all of them was locked up in the short cage. And this match, it was a pretty good match. It was going on and everything. Jericho was busted open. Kingston was bleeding from the back and everything. They was going through barbed wire tables. Like, everything was wrapped up in barbed wire. Even though with Justin Roberts' microphone, it was wrapped up in barbed wire for some reason. And the ring bell was wrapped up in barbed wire. Half of the ropes was pretty much wrapped up in barbed wire except one side so they can get in and out of the ring. So yeah, stuff like that. Just a bunch of tables and steel chairs wrapped up in barbed wire as well. So yeah, in this match, it was a pretty good match. Like, everybody was going through shit and everything. And then Ty Conti at one point comes up and attacks Ruby Soho. They was both brawling, and then Anna Jay comes up, pulls Ty Conti off of Ruby Soho, talking about, what are you doing and all that. Ruby Soho gets up, and then Anna Jay attacks Ruby, and pretty much just turning heel, and then runs Ruby's head into the ring post, laying her out, and she grabs the controls for the short cage, lowers it down. Ty Conti runs through the crowd, pretty much trying to unlock the short cage, but she had problems doing that. So we see, I think it was Daniel Garcia and Angelo Parker just straight up went through the cage instead. Through the bars, and just ran into the ring to brawl with Kingston. And then at one point she actually got it unlocked, I guess, and that's when Jake Hager and Matt Bernard got out of there as well. So yeah, stuff like that happened, and then they beating down Kingston. Then we see John Moxley and all them come up, saving Kingston, pretty much brawling with the JAS as well outside the ring. They was all going at it, and then we see Kingston and Jericho going at it. It was pretty good stuff. And then at one point we see Kingston have the steel chair wrapped up with barbed wire, about to hit Jericho, but Jericho hits him with a code breaker, and that chair smacks Jericho in the face. At one point Jericho goes for the pin, Kingston barely kicking out too. At one point we see Kingston hit a exploder suplex on the Jericho through the barbed wire table in the corner. He goes for the pin, Jericho barely kicking out too. And then at the ending we see Kingston grabbed a bunch of barbed wire, wraps it around Jericho's arm, pretty much locking on that submission hold, that stretcher move onto Jericho. But then Sammy Guevara got in the ring, breaking up the submission hold, making his return back after a few weeks or whatever. So yeah, he starts beating down Kingston, and then then Jericho, Guevara picks up Kingston, and they spun each other around for a second for some reason, and then Kingston got hit with the Judas effect with the barbed wire wrapped around Jericho's arm, and then Jericho goes for the pin, got the 3 count. Jericho wins the match. So yeah, Chris Jericho defeated Eddie Kingston, and then Kingston got back up, starts brawling with Jericho, and then pushed him into Guevara, and then it was just a bunch of stuff happening, miscommunication, it looks like. And then Kingston gets Jericho on the apron, just tosses him onto this batch of barbed wire, pretty much laying him out. So yeah, that's what happened there. I'll say that's match of the night, but it was just a bunch of miscommunication, pretty much. And then you got Ty Conti, unable to unlock the door for a little bit. So yeah, stuff like that happened. But other than that, it was a good match between Kingston and Jericho. It didn't really ruin it. So yeah. But for the match, I'll give it 3.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. But still a pretty good match. I'll say that's match of the night. And other matches on the card for tonight was pretty good as well. Like the tag team match with Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta taking on Best Friends. That was a really good match. And yeah, there was some good matches and some matches as the end. So yeah, for tonight's Fyter Fest, I'll give it 8 stars. That's what I'll give it. Actually, I'll give it 7.5 stars because even though there was a few good matches, there was still some matches that was kind of pretty much. I would just say the tag team match, like I said, with Best Friends and all that was a pretty good match, and then the main event was a good match. Dax pretty much cutting a good promo and stuff, but pretty much the rest of the card was in a way. So yeah, that's why I'll give the whole show 7.5 stars. But yeah, that was Dynamite. So yeah, subscribe to TNW Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris Bales. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'll be down there in the description box. And yeah, I'll see you guys later for this Friday Night SmackDown reviews. See you guys later. Until then.